Hi there, this is Ignacy Trzewiczek, Portal Games, and this is the first time on this YouTube channel, Portal Games videos. I'm doing Ask Me Anything video. Under the last video I asked you to ask me any questions you want, and I'll answer them all. And it was a risky request, and yes, now I am in trouble because you post so many questions. So here we are. I guess you need a cup of tea, you need some cookies, sit comfortable in your chair, because this video, I guess, will be pretty long, because there's so many questions I want to answer.
Eric Link asks, can you talk a little bit about the game design process, especially playtesting and balancing? Is playtesting different for different games? How did we end up with 13 balanced armies for Neuroshima Hex? That seems impossible.
So Eric, first of all, thank you for the question, and I do a seminar about playtesting, and this is a 1 hour seminar, 1 hour speech I do only about the playtesting. So of course I will now just answer just a bit, a part of this epic rant, because about the playtesting I can go on and on and discuss. This is designing games. Playtesting means designing games. I wrote a couple of years ago pretty important article about four different groups of playtesters, and when you playtest the game, you have, in my opinion, you have to have these 4 stages with 4 different playtesters. So in my opinion, you cannot playtest the game with one group of playtesters. You need to change them because you need different qualities, different characteristics of the playtester. So the first stage and the first playtesters, and Eric is asking because he's designing a scenario for the contest for Robinson Crusoe. Hey guys, we have 1 month left, and then we are closing the contest, and the winner of this contest will be part of the official expansion for Robinson Crusoe. So this is a pretty big deal. Back to the question. So first you need the silent tester. I call them silent tester. For me, of course, it's my wife Mary. She's amazing playtester, and she helps me a lot designing my games. And the silent tester is a person who shuts the fuck up. He's not talking to you, he's not commenting, he's not asking, he's just doing what you tell him to do. So for you, when you are designing a scenario for Robinson Crusoe and you have these all these ideas, and you don't know which direction you want to go, and you're trying this and that and this, you don't want anybody to talk to you at this moment. You are thinking, right? So this silent tester is playing with you and is doing everything you tell them to do, and they are just silent, and you're thinking and you're changing, and in the middle of the game you're changing the rules, and then in the middle of the game you have these new ideas, so you're changing everything, and the silent tester is patient, is quiet, and is playing with you. Whatever you will tell them, they will do it. And for me, this silent playtesting is a very long period. As I said, I do it with my wife Mary. She has this patience, and she is very experienced. She helped me with so many games already. And when you are finally happy with the project you are designing, in this case scenario, and you think it's fun, it's cool, you are happy with that, then you can move to the next stage. And the next stage I call creative playtesters, and these are all your buddies and your gaming group friends who have these amazing ideas, and when they will play with you this scenario for Robinson Crusoe and a game you're designing, they will throw at you all these great ideas. Hey, let's do this rule that in this style you have these beasts, and hey, let's do that if you discover the totem icon, something will happen, and they will throw at you all these different ideas. And like 2% of them, or like 5% of these ideas will be amazing, and the rest of them, no. So you are moving to this stage of a creative process at the moment when you're ready with your basic idea, when you know what you expect from this basic idea, when you're happy with this basic idea, and this gives you this strength to know which of these creative ideas from your great friends are stupid and will not work here and are not good for this idea, and which of them, well, actually it will work. Thank you for this idea. So creative process and having this income of amazing new ideas from your friends first you have to have your very strict, well done, well prepared prototype. When you're done with all these ideas for your friends, you go to the stage of the crazy tester. Crazy tester, as I say in my article, everybody has this crazy friend who is playing always a very strange strategy, and he's always doing something very, very awkward during the game, and then he loses and he says, well, I'm surprised my strategy was so unique. So you're looking for this crazy dude who in most cases lose the games in your gaming group, but they have always these very strange ideas for the strategy, because sometimes in the games, in the prototypes, there is this situation that there is this very unique strategy that you didn't come up with, and it is actually a winning strategy. I have this amazing story about the playtesting Stronghold. When a few weeks before sending it to the printer, to the manufacturer, one of my testers find a winning strategy because he was crazy. So this is very important. Of course, it is not crucial for the smaller project like Scenario for Robinson Crusoe, but for the bigger games, having these few stupid friends who will do very stupid things with your prototype is very, very important. For me, for years, it was Michael Orach, who has these very, very awkward ideas during the game. Now Marek is helping me because he always also has a very, very strange ideas how to win the game. You need crazy tester to find if there is no winning strategy that is unexpected and the strategy that you were not thinking about. And then the last part of the stage of playtesting the game for me is balancing. And on one hand, very, very important. On the other hand, as you can see, this is the last moment when you're happy with your prototype, when you have everything ready, all these great ideas, everything is smooth, nice. Then it's time to give this prototype to your Eurogamers friends, these dudes who play Agricola and they play all these economy games. Give them this prototype for 2 or 3 weeks, and they will fix all the costs of all the cards, all the costs of all the actions. They will balance it out for you. And for most of my games, I'm not involved in that process. I trust them. I trust my people that they know more about math and economy in board gaming. So very important part, but not always designer has to be involved in that part. Crazy Eurogamers can do it for you. So these are these 4 stages. As I said, every week we can do the whole seminar, a 1-hour seminar about playtesting. Fascinating topic. But let's move to the next question.
Tropical Penguin asks, I always wondered why it's not possible to buy English translated games in Polish currency from the Portal shop. As an expat living and working in Poland, it's rather a personal request to make this somehow possible.
So this is a great question, of course, mostly to my sales team, but yes, we sell a quite a number of English titles in Polish game stores, like in Krakow, in Warsaw, in Wrocław. There is so many people who speak English, who work in Poland at this very moment, and they are looking for the games in English. There are so many tourists who visit game stores in Poland and find some English games. So we sell, as I said, quite a number of English titles in Poland, and of course it makes absolutely sense what you just said, that in our Polish web store we could have a couple of English titles for all the people who are working in Poland right now or are looking for the gifts for their friends. So I will pass it to our sales team, and hopefully it will happen in upcoming weeks. So thank you for suggestion. That's a good one.
Gianna Stialis asks, I wanted to ask you about the Robinson Crusoe scenario contest you are having right now. I took part in the previous one you had, and I was glad to hear good comments from you. It was the naval battle one. Now, can we send a scenario that is longer than 1 page, or maybe even 2?
And once again, we're talking about the Robinson Crusoe scenario, which is happening right now. So it's great to have these questions. We on purpose we did not give any guidelines and no restrictions on the scenarios that you are submitting, because I want to be surprised. So of course the general rule, the general way we are doing scenarios is a 1 page. That's how the scenarios are published for Robinson Crusoe. But I myself did a couple of exceptions. There is this about the Dr. Livingstone scenario that has one page of the rules and then the whole paragraph book with the paragraphs. There is this Treasure Island Junior scenario that has one page of the rules and then it has 12 letters as a addition. So I myself sometimes break the rules for the scenarios, and I'm looking forward to see what you will come with. So of course we prefer you to come up with a scenario that has just one page of the rules. People can read it and play. But if you will receive something mind-blowing that will have 3 pages or 2 pages and a token or whatever else you will come up with, I'm looking forward to see this. Last time we did a contest for Robinson Crusoe, I wrote the whole article. Me telling you how much I was mind blown, how much I respected the ideas that you submitted, how much amazing it was experience to read the ideas for my game created by you and by fans from all other the places. So no restrictions. Do what you want. Do something to surprise us, our development team. And as I said, of course, we prefer one-page scenarios, but on purpose we did give no guidelines. It's up to you what you are coming with.
Trzewiczek asks, what is your best board game experience?
Thank you for the question. Impossible to answer in general. There's so many experiences, amazing experiences. We have playing board games, and we can start with the thing that when the game starts and we all have expectations and there's these cookies and tea and my friends and we are just about to start the game and it's this pure moment of fun. All these experiences when playing party games and all these laughs we have and playing the crypto and playing Time's Up and all these games, I love them and I love these experiences. I love these moments when I see that my combo, my Eurogame combo is starting to work and I see that in 1 or 2 or 3 rounds it will just crush everybody and these expectations of what will happen in the next round is amazing. So yeah, playing board games is absolutely amazing time for me. I really love it. I hate reading rulebooks, but playing board games absolutely amazing. I said in many interviews that one of my favorite games of all time is Mall of Horror. It's an old game from Asmodee before the Asmodee was a dark star. Asmodee. So Mall of Horror, and this is the game in which you are a traitor and you really have to do bad stuff to kill other players at the table. So also the amazing experiences when I was plotting and cheating and telling lies to my friends and they were believing me and I was so happy that I fooled them and then I was killing them. So yeah, a ton of great experiences. I play board games for almost 20 years, so most of my life basically. So amazing time. Once again, we could talk long about this and great experiences.
Brandon Lane asks, what is your favorite deck building game?
So Brandon asked a ton of questions. I will need to listen to them and ask them because there's so many questions. The start, the first one, what is my the favorite deck building game? It will be probably at this moment Aeon's End from Indie Balls and Cards. Amazing deck builder. That is cooperative one. I also enjoyed a lot Star Realms a few years ago when it was released. Of course, I adored Dominion back then when it was the first time released. But I also said in many interviews that I still see a potential to create better deck building games. Each time I play a deck building game, I absolutely adore this mechanism. I love this mechanism. I think it is one of the most brilliant and unique mechanism in board gaming. I think I will design a deck building game at some point in my career. And I think that there is still a ton of room to create better deck building games. So at this point, my favorite, I think, is the Aeon's End from Indie Balls and Cards. But I think there's still a room to surprise me and surprise you, gamers. And deck building games can be even much better.
Favorite dudes on a map game?
For a favorite Dudes on the Map board game, that is a very difficult question because I have the huge collection of these games. And basically I suck. I mean, I cannot play them. I very rarely win such a games, but I have a great time. And it's very difficult because playing the Dudes on the Map board game means for the most of the time my amazing plans to conquer this board, this thing, will fail, and my friends will trade me and will attack me, and I will lose, and I will be frustrated, and I will be angry, and I will be flipping the table. And somehow I still love these games. Back to the experience, the best experiences in board gaming. So in my collection of Dudes on the Map, there is all there was published. So I have a Godfather, I have a Rising Sun, I have a Blood Rage, talking about the Cool Me or Not. I have a Mezzo from Colossal Games. I have El Grande, no miniatures, but it's area control game. I have, of course, Kemet. I have, of course, Einish. I have, of course, Cry Havoc. So I love them all. Of course, Cry Havoc that I was developing is very deep in my heart, and I think it is a brilliant game, a brilliant design, amazing combat resolution. So Cry Havoc is very high on this list. I adore Kemet for this tech tree that you're having these powers and you're doing these combos. I love Anish for a very unique approach to and use on the map. Godfather, one of the best games ever designed by Eric Lang. Blood Rage, the first big game from Eric Lang. So I love them all. As I said, this is one of my favorite genre of the games, even though in most cases this is a disaster for me playing them, and this is frustration. This is my friends stabbing me. Well, I cannot explain them, but this is a great genre of games.
Have you played any role-playing games, pen and paper, that you liked?
Dear sir, I started my whole career from role-playing game. The first thing I did professionally in gaming industry was writing role-playing games. So I did play a couple of role-playing games. I think we can make a special vlog, a special episode about this, because now in this home office era, in this stay-at-home era, when there's not too much to show you what's happening in the offices, because everybody at Portal Games is working from homes, I can create more video content with not about the Portal Games office, but about the gaming in general. So yes, there is a ton of role-playing games I played back then in the 90s, and there is a ton of role-playing games I love: Call of Cthulhu, Deadlands, Legend of the Five Rings, etc. So let me dodge the question today, and we will consider recording the special Ignacy Trzewiczek talking about role-playing games. Deal?
What is Poland's national flower?
Continuing Dutch policy, I have no knowledge about the flowers. So even though I'm living in a village, like countryside, like I have cows and chickens and all these animals all around places, but I have no knowledge about the flowers, so dodging this question. And I'm going also to dodge the other one about the discounting games, because I have a very strict opinion, and I think rather controversial. I'm not a big fan of discounts, to say it very politely. So I'm not going to go for this round, because these web stores, both in Poland and in America, are my business partners. So I don't want to criticize this policy, but I'm not a huge fan of discounting products. So dodging again. I'm so sorry.
If you could only play one type of mechanic game for the rest of the year, what would it be? I mean, area control, deck building, worker placement, etc.
If I can play only one mechanism of games till end of the year, I love worker placement. All the games I designed are worker placement, and so this is the mechanism I feel the most comfortable with. I think the thing this mechanism is absolutely brilliant, is simple, is efficient, is amazing. So I would probably go for worker placement. I also, as I said a few minutes before, I love deck building games, so I could easily play the whole year just playing deck builders. But please don't put me in such a situation. My game collection is so wide because I love all these genres, and I have a ton of party games at home. I have a war games from GMT or different publishers. I have Euro games. I have hybrid games. I have role-playing games, roll and write games, etc., etc. So please don't put me in such a situation. I don't want to play one genre. I want to play all of them.
How do you feel about boutique games that are hundreds of dollars at their base level? Kingdom Death Monster, for example. Do you think they are healthy for the longevity of the hobby, or do they do more harm than good by making potentially very good games too expensive for some people?
As for the very expensive games, I think this is good. This is interesting. I think there are gamers who can afford such a games, and if there is a demand, if there is a market, there should be a product. And I myself sometimes buy very expensive, very unique and limited comic books because I'm a comic book nerd. So I have a couple of these amazing editions of comic books. I myself have also a couple of games that were very expensive, but I had a pleasure to buy them, and these are my treasures in my collection. So I think that there is a place for very expensive games on the market, because there are these people who love to collect, and I call them, and I call myself dragons. So this is a dragon spirit, dragon soul, people who love to collect things. And for us, for the collectors, to have a chance to have something very unique, very limited, and very, very, very expensive is a reason to live. Like, we love to have these items. So I personally don't have this Kingdom Death Monster game, but I have a couple of other games that were very expensive. And as I said, the same for the books, the same for the comic books. Yes.
If you could legally require or ban one type of component make its way into all board games from now on, what would it be? Meeples, cards, etc.
And this is the super easy question. My answer is super simple. I hate standees in board games. So, instead of a miniature or instead of the pawn, there is this cardboard piece, and it is stuck in the plastic piece, and these are standees. I hate them. Like, seriously, like, when I see a board game that it has the standees, there is a significant chance I will not buy this game just because of this one component. Of course, I have no reasonable explanation why is that. I assume this is the has some connection with my childhood, these crappy board games we played when we were children, and all these games back then in 80s had these standees. So when I see a standee, I see a board game from 80s. I see a crap game. So standees, if I can make this decision, I rule them out.
Please talk more about what you like about Millennium Blades and what is the most insane combo you can remember someone won a tournament with.
Millennium Blades is a masterpiece. It's a game that I heard about, and I had no interest in this game whatsoever. It was a game that you are pretending that you are playing in a collectible card game tournaments. I never was a big fan of these tournaments. I felt very uncomfortable in such an environment. I had some bad experiences, so having a game about these tournaments was nothing interesting for me. But I played this game, and oh my god, that was revelation. That was absolutely amazing time. I bought the game, and now it's one of the gems in my collection because this game is not widely available in Poland. Of course, I don't remember the combos in this game. Like I played once a year, so I don't remember the combos. But what I love in this game, I love the time pressure. I love the fact that you are paying with the whole bunch of money for the games, and this is so amazing moment when you're just throwing these dollars on the table. I love the moment when you are buying these cards, having no clue what you are buying, which is so true and relevant to buying boosters for Magic the Gathering or other card games. So I love every piece of this game. I think Brad Tolton created a masterpiece that is a simulation or adaptation of experience that is taking part in a CCG tournament. So I absolutely adore this game, and it is not a game for everyone. It is a very specific game, but I think you should try it. At least try it, and some of you will be absolutely addicted to this game, as I am.
Tropical Penguin asks, why is there no Slavic clan in Imperial Settlers?
This question is asked me so many times on Polish forum, on Polish Facebook, when I speak with Polish fans, and for years everybody in Poland was asking for the Slavic clan for Imperial Settlers. There is a fan-created expansion for the game Slavic faction. We are not going with this idea because Imperial Settlers is a worldwide brand, and the game was released in 12 different countries, starting with Japan and ending in Brazil. It was released in France and in Italy and in Great Britain and all these different places and different cultures. And when we are thinking about new factions for the game, we are thinking about worldwide known ideas, brands, culture. So that's why Atlanteans, that's why Amazons, that's why factions that everybody heard about. So it is much more likely that I will do Lemmings based on a video game, that I will do a Slavic faction, because for the gamers in Brazil and in Japan and in Korea, Lemmings is a more or less a famous video game, while Slavic is some culture from some small country in Europe that nobody heard about. So we will not do Slavic as an official faction. There is no such a plan, but there is one created by the fans, so you can probably find it on Boardgames, and you can have fun with that.
Spencer Palmer asks, what do you think about retheming Neuroshima Convoy to a Star Wars theme?
So thank you for the question about the Convoy, because Convoy is a quite interesting design. I love this game. I have it in my collection. I absolutely think that it was a very smart design I did back then, many years ago. The game was not very successful, so retheming it would be probably a good idea. Retheming it for the Star Wars, where can I sign it, as I say? I'd love to see it as the Star Wars game. Of course, it is impossible. We don't have such an IP in our catalog. But yes, a Convoy at this point out of stock, so I think you cannot buy it anymore. Very smart small card game that I released a couple of years ago, and for no reason not very successful. I don't know what happened.
Which game do you prefer, Imperial Settlers or 51st State? Why?
And for your second question, which game I prefer, 51st State or Imperial Settlers? Of course, there is no answer for this question. You don't ask parents which kid they prefer. So, of course, I love both of my kids. I love Imperial Settlers, I love 51st State. I play them on a regular basis, and I play them in different moments of the year, depending on my mood or depending on how much time I have. Imperial Settlers is much longer. The 5 rounds and the 5th round is so long with all these combos. So I love in Imperial Settlers all these different factions. I love to play Amazon factions. I love to play Roman factions. I love these different synergies between the cards inside your deck. While 51st State is just opened. You have just one deck of the cards for both players, and they have to figure out something with these random cards. So 51st State much more challenging. 51st State much faster, but less cute. I don't like the theme of Neuroshima. I'm not a big fan of post-apocalyptic, so I prefer the theming of Imperial Settlers, and I prefer the fast pace of 51st State.
What's your favorite 3 armies in Neuroshima Hex?
As for my favorite factions for Neuroshima Hex, for sure the number one spot, no questions whatsoever, New York. I love the New York for this amazing weaponry they have, so New York is my first choice when I play Neuroshima Hex. And then I play a ton of how they are called in English, outpost, the Green Army from the base game. I love them for the theme, I love them for the artwork, I love them for the shooting. So these are my two favorite factions. From other factions that we released, I played all of them a couple of times, but when I play, basically my son is playing all these new factions, and I'm sticking to New York and the Outpost.
Is there enough demand to justify translating the Neuroshima RPG to English?
And for demand for translating Neuroshima role-playing game, for sure, if we run a Kickstarter, we would have success. There is so many fans of Neuroshima worldwide that would love to finally read the whole piece and read about the world of Neuroshima and the rules for the role-playing game. So for sure there is demand. Why we are not doing that? Because this game is old. This game was written by me and Michael Oraj and Marcin Blacha when we were 20 years old. It was almost 20 years ago. So there is a ton of issues with this material. First of all, the rules are not the best. Back then we had no clue what we were doing, and if I design this game right now, the rules would be much simpler, smoother, faster, and basically different. So the game is too complicated in terms of the rules for the modern times, in my opinion. But the bigger problem with the game is that back then we were young, we had 20 years, and this game would be a one big bomb of controversy. Like the things that we were writing there, there is so many jokes that are political incorrect. There is so many passages and paragraphs that would never be published these days, with all this political correctness that we see all around the place. We were very young, and we were writing a crazy post-apocalyptic game. No way it can be published worldwide these days. It is a key story of the company. It is a very important key story of the company, but it will never be translated into English. I'm so sorry.
Toy Bao Bao asks, would you consider getting your games released on Tabletop Simulator?
Thank you for the question. As for the Tabletop Simulator, at this point we are working with Tabletopia, and we are very happy with them. We have Imperial Settlers on Tabletopia you can play, and as far as I know, Robinson Crusoe is in work, so very soon you will be able to play Robinson Crusoe as well on Tabletopia. And for the Tabletop Simulator, we are a little bit of skeptical, so maybe things will change, but at this point there is no plans for us to do anything with Tabletop Simulator. We are looking into it, but at this point the platform of our choice, the platform that we promote, the platform that we respect, and the platform that we want to work with is Tabletopia. So on our side, please use this platform to play board games from Portal Games.
How is the competition for the Robinson Crusoe scenario going?
As for the contest for Robinson Crusoe scenario, once again we are in this topic today. I don't know. I was asking a few days ago my team if there's anything sent, and I was told that yes, people are sending in scenarios, but I haven't read them. I don't know how many scenarios were submitted. So at this point, my job is to send out the message: hey, the scenario is taking place. Hey, you have 1 month left. Hey, if you want to be part of the official expansion for Robinson Crusoe, this is now or never. So now I'm focused on advertising the contest, and when it is ended at the last day of May, I will be given all these submitted scenarios, and along with Joanna Kijanka, I will read them all and choose the best one, and I cannot wait for that.
Can you show us your pets?
As for my pets, here is a one of the cats we have at home. It is called Two Shelves, and of course there's a story for the name. So we already had 2 cats and we had 3 dogs. And on one hand, I love animals; they are cool, but there is so much mess and noise, and I'm fine with having 1 dog, and we have 3 dogs and 2 cats. So I said we have enough of these amazing animals, and I'm done with that. But of course, my kids and my wife wanted more, and they were asking me for the 3rd cat to join our family. And back then, I made a huge order that was quite crazy of books, and I bought a ton of books on eBay. And I had this package of books arrived to my home. And there was literally no free space for the books. Like, I had too many books and there was no way how I can store them. And I started negotiating with my family. And I said to my daughter, I will agree for the 3rd cat in the house if you convince my wife, that is your mom, that I will be allowed to have more shelves for books in our living room. And as you can imagine, my daughter convinced my wife that I can have additional 2 shelves for my books in our living room, and therefore the cat in the house, and he's called 2 Shelves, because that was a trade.
How are Kickstarter plans for 2020 looking? Any updates on the overall schedule?
As for the Kickstarter for this year, things are changing, things are moving. I had a Skype conference yesterday with my team about that, and we don't know. Of course, we planned a Kickstarter for the Book of Adventures, the new epic expansion for Robinson Crusoe. But if we do it this year, or if we have to postpone it for the beginning of the next year, we will see. COVID-19 coronavirus is demolishing the whole industry and all the plans of the publishers. So I don't know. At this point, as for the recording, we are still planning to have the Book of Adventures Kickstarter this year, but things may change. We will see.
I was wondering how fans like me could get involved with helping you out at conventions and stuff. Do you guys even need any extra help with that?
Absolutely, we need help at conventions, and it is both the big conventions like Gencor or Essen or the Dice Tower, as well as the smaller conventions, local conventions, even the conventions that we are not going to, but you are there. You can contact us. We will ship you games to show off at the convention in the games room to teach our games. So yes, everybody who wants to be part of the Portal family in Poland, we have the whole huge team called Portal Gamers. So these are the gamers who love Portal Gamers, and this is the family of people. We have the closed Facebook group when I chat with these people and tease some additional content from our game. So this is the Portal Gamers family, and if you want to be Portal Gamers family, you have to reach us and tell us where you live, what you do, which games of Portal games you know, how you want to be part of this family. If you can demo games in stores, if you can demo games at conventions, if you want to write a blog, record the videos, how you can add a value to the whole family, how you can bring something new to the table. And yes, we need help at any different levels. Portal Games is me as a face of the company. Portal Games is 20 employees full-time working in offices, and Portal Games is most importantly hundreds and thousands of fans in different places, in different countries, in different cities, sharing the passion to Robinson Crusoe, to Detective, to Imperial Settlers, sharing the passion for board gaming, for board games to tell stories. So yes, we need all of you on board to help us.
Mateusz asks, show us your Blood Bowl team. Who is winning the Portal Blood Bowl League?
My Blood Bowl team is here, of course, in a cookies box. And ooh, what happened? What happened here? Some. Oh, my team. Okay, almost ready. So, what happened here? This coronavirus attacked my blood. So I discovered Blood Bowl because of the Jamie from Secret Cabal podcast. He recorded his favorite games of all time, and Blood Bowl was there, and I started digging and looking for more reviews, and finally I decided I will buy the box, and I convinced Joanna Kijanka, my developer, to stay after hours and play with me Blood Bowl. And since then I played many times, and I loved the experience, and Joanna loved the experience as well. And this is my team. Of course, you see nothing because we have a very bad camera, but these are my undead guys. So I have my mummies. No, you will see not too much. The lighting is terrible, but I have these guys, and I have my skeletons. And if we record in the office, which we are not, I will show you my undead pitch, because I created the whole pitch for my team, and it looks absolutely epic and amazing. And this is this part when I am passionate, when I love board games. I love to add some additional value to the board game, so either paint the miniatures or do some additional components. And for the Blood Bowl, of course, I went totally crazy. And I have my miniatures painted, I have this pitch, and I have additional components. And yes, the amazing game. I strongly recommend checking out Blood Bowl. It's like a first step into the miniature gaming. So you have just a few miniatures, very simple, but there is a randomness, there is rolling, there is fun time, and you can discover if you like miniature games or this is something not for you. It was the first miniature game that Joanna played, and she likes the experience. We played many times already, so most likely in the upcoming months we'll move on to the next miniature games to play. So I played miniature games since my high school. Before I discovered board gaming, I was playing role-playing games and miniature games. Like board games were much later. My whole high school and my whole college time, no single board game, only role-playing games and only board games. Only miniature games. I played Warhammer Battle, I played Necromunda, I played Infinity, I played War Machine. I played all of them. I absolutely adore this hobby, and I have a ton of armies for all these different games.
Tropical Penguin asks, your favorite Robinson Crusoe scenario and why exactly? Least favorite scenario? Why?
My favorite has to be Searching for Dr. Livingstone. It was a ton of work, but I absolutely adore this scenario. It was the experiment, if I can do a scenario with a game book, and it worked very well. I'm not sure if you guys know about this scenario, if you play this. This is the scenario that you have to find Dr. Livingstone, but because I created quite a sophisticated system in this scenario, it has, I think, 32 or 16, I don't remember, a ton of different endings. So the goal is that you have to find Dr. Livingstone, but if you win or if you lose, there is no answer you found him or you didn't found him, but you can find him as a chief of the local native tribe, or you can find him dead, or you can find him enchanted by some shaman. There's so many different endings that may happen because how the story develops. So searching for Dr. Livingstone is my absolutely favorite scenario for all of the scenarios I designed. My least favorite is for sure the third scenario in the HMS Beagle campaign. That is the scenario when there's a storm and your ship is just being crazy in a very bad weather, and this is so random, so crazy that I had so many complaints from the players, and I have to agree with them. I went crazy with this one, so I'm not a big fan of what I did here. Scenario number 3 in HMS Beagle expansion, that was my failure. I'm so sorry.
Tropical Penguin asks, top 5 board game designers that are not on the Portal payroll.
Top 5 board game designers, for sure Eli Glank. I absolutely adore his work, and I adore him, and I love him as a person. He's an amazing dude, but of course I adore his designs. We were working on a game back then together, so I learned a lot from him. He's so much better than the designer that I am, and he's so smart. So Eric Glenn has to be on the list. Of course, Bruno Catala. once again, both because of how amazing person he is, how witty, amazing dude, and of course for his brilliant designs, Five Tribes, Yamatai. He's amazing. Bruno Catala for sure. Richard Garfield, no questions. Roborelli, Magic the Gathering, Keyforge, and we can go on and go on. King of Tokyo, whatever Richard Garfield does is brilliant. I never had the chance to meet him in person, so I'm not sure what sort of person he is. I guess he's amazing as other designers, but his designs absolutely brilliant stuff. And then I could go on and on. I'm a huge fan of board games. That means I'm a huge fan of designers. I adore their work. So all these big names that we know from the boxes, Kramer and Kiesling, amazing duo. I buy everything they design. So a ton of talent in the industry, and I'm so proud that I made it, and I am part of this industry and this hobby and this family of super talented people.
The wizard that climbs the library asks, does First Martians have a future? If yes, what? If no, why?
First Martians, I think there is not very bright future for the First Martians. I mean, I have some things in progress, but I have no time to finish it. So I had some scenarios, I had some additional counts, but they never finished. And basically, the game is dead. Nobody's playing it. It had a terrible reviews. Most of the people hated it. So there is no need and no way to resurrect it, to work on it. Unfortunately, it was the biggest failure for in my career. So not only I'm not looking forward to work on the new expansion for the First Martians, knowing how much trash there was on the game from the criticism. So no, I think the First Martian project is done. It's closed, and we will not see more content for the game. Very sad. I recorded a couple of weeks ago a very long 1 hour sort of testimony, like looking back at the whole project and what I think about the First Martians after these few years, and it did a ton of commentary in Polish internet. So no, I think the First Martians is over. That was a very bad experience for me.
Niran asks, what is Mary's favorite cow-themed art in your house? What is yours?
There is, as you can imagine, there is a ton of art in our house dedicated to cows. For all of you who don't understand the question and what's going on here, my wife Mary collects all the things dedicated to cows. So of course we have pictures in canvas on our walls, and we have a ton of magnets with cows on our fridge, and we have all cows on everywhere, small figures of cows. I'm not a huge fan of cows except my drawings, which are very funny. And there is no single my drawing in the home on the wall, so I'm very disappointed. But for Maria, there is a ton of cows in this house. I remember the funny story that happened back then in Gamma trade show, I think 2017, when I told Tom Vassell that my wife collects different items with the cows, and we decided to go to the city, to the downtown of Vegas, to find a shop and buy her a cow from Vegas. And we were walking like for 2 or 3 hours from store to store, and there was no single cow. Apparently in this state in America, cows are not very popular. And I have to admit, and I will respect Tom for years for that, like I gave up. I said, okay, Tom, forget it. I will not bring her cow from this trip. And he said, no, we will find a cow in Vegas. And I was tired. I was like, no, Tom, we don't want this cow anymore. And he goes, no, we will find this stupid cow. And he was dragging me from store to store for hours. And of course, we finally found a cow, and I brought it home. It was It was at some point it was terrible work. Like I was so tired already, but Tom was not giving up, and I respect that. And it was very surprising for me that this funny dude, that funny reviewers, is so stubborn and he's not giving up. And he decided he will find a cow for Mary in Vegas, and he did. So I appreciate that, and Mary appreciate that. And yes, we have a ton of cows in this house.
Benjamin Nicholson asks, what lawnmower do you have?
So as for the lawnmower, once again, to explain everybody who doesn't understand this question, this ongoing joke that is part of the Rolling Dice and Taking Names podcast, which I recommend, in my opinion, the best podcast about board gaming. I absolutely love this podcast. And there's this ongoing joke that every time they interview guests, like designers and publishers, they ask about the lawnmower. So there's this ongoing joke. We do have a quite a big, for Polish environment and for Polish scale, garden, and we do have to take care of the grass, but guess what? Mary's in charge, so I have no clue. She has all this machinery and she does it. So we would have to ask Mary about this stuff. I'm focused on designing games and making money for the house, while the Mary is focused on me surviving and me having house and roof and garden, etc. So I have no clue what stuff we are using, but when I'm looking through the window, I assume we are using something. That is for sure.
How is the Robinson Crusoe app? Any predicted release date?
And for the question about the status of the Robinson Crusoe app, it drives me crazy because the app was. I was told the app is ready like a few months ago, and I said so finish it to the Protagonist Digital, and then this final stage takes the longest. I don't exactly understand how it works because I'm not a coder, but on one hand I saw Janka, our developer, playing with this app and playtesting the cards with this working app. And at the same time, there's no final product. There's still some playtesting, some fixing, some adding music, adding artwork, etc. So I have no clue when it will be ready. My impression was that it will be ready last year, at the end of the last year. And hey, we are in April next year, and it's still not ready. I have not enough mean comments about lazy coders. That's a disaster.
Voyage of the Beagle in 2021?
As for the Voyage of the Beagle in 2021, that was my initial plan when we released Mr. Test in 2019. In 2020, smaller product that is Treasure Island, and the bigger expansion was planned for 2021, but the coronavirus and the whole thing may change the plan. So at this point it's too early to say. I confirm that was our initial plan, and we will see how the things develop over the upcoming months and what will happen next year. So too early to answer this question.
Has this real-life pandemic inspired you in game design, expansion, or scenario?
So pandemic did not inspire me because it's rather depressing and I'm in a rather bad mood with the things that are happening. So but yes, I'm stuck at home. I'm playing some games that I was not planning to play. So for example, here we have my notes. Yes, we can see it. My notes. The lighting. So I'm playing games. I'm designing some stuff that was not planned whatsoever. So maybe as a result of this home office, stay at home, flatten the curve, maybe I will have some unexpected design, but we don't know. Generally speaking, the whole Vienna connection, which is sitting on my desks and all the scripts, it will be delayed for sure. I'm not sure if it will be released this year. Definitely seeing what's going on in the world, seeing what's going on in the industry, being concerned about the future of the industry, being concerned about the future of the company, spending so much more time than usually with Excel, with finances, with my sales team, and debating about the financial situation of the company. For sure, it is not helping focus on the creative process, and I am definitely not in the mood to write new cases for detective and to work on a Vienna connection. So at this point, the whole designing process is very hectic. I'm very confused with the situation right now. So maybe I will design something unexpected, staying at home. But for sure, the project that I was going to do at this very moment are delayed, and this is a bad news.
Who's the champ?
And who's the champ? Once again, we have to give some context, and this is amazing, and I love it. That I am interacting with you fans, and we are friends. Most of you I know personally, and there's so many inside jokes, so many inside stories that we can have fun with. But of course, then I have to explain to all other viewers what's going on here. So the question about the champ, what's going on with the champ? It was 2012. It was 2012 when I appeared in America for the first time, and I was presenting Robinson Crusoe at Gen Con all day long because I'm crazy and I was so excited and the adrenaline was so high. And I was running demos of Robinson Crusoe all the time. And at some point, one of the groups who played Robinson Crusoe earlier approached me and told me, "Hey, dude, you're working your ass. You're working like crazy. Take a break. We want to invite you for the game to play with us." And I said, "Okay, thank you." And I came to the game with them, and the game we played was World Cup. This is the very old, out of print, very niche football game, a game about soccer, game about the football. And I had a blast after the whole day of work, after the whole day of presenting Robinson Crusoe, just sitting with the dudes that I met for the first time and playing a soccer game. And the experience was absolutely amazing. I immediately felt like we knew each other for years because we shared the passion for soccer, for the football. So all the jokes at the table, all this mean commentary, all the fun time, trash talk, like we were friends for years, and not we played for the first time. And the next year when I came to the Gen Con, they approached me again and they said, "Hey, dude, we are playing the game again. Are you coming?" And of course I came. And since then, for this many years, it became a tradition. We meet every year, day before Gen Con. So Gen Con starts on a Thursday, and every Wednesday we have a tradition of playing this World Cup. It's a very stupid game. Let's be honest, but we play it for many years, and this is one of the highlights of Gen Con and one of the highlights of the whole year for me to meet these guys. And of course, over the years, the people at the table changed. Some people came, some people left. And we are playing it very seriously. That means the winner receives actual like a trophy, and he's called a champ for the whole year. And the thing is that the 1 year I made a mistake, and I invited to this group my employee Chevy, and that was a terrible move. Like I wanted to be nice, I wanted to be empathic. I wanted to be a nice boss and invite him to play a game, and that was of course a terrible decision. Chevy won that game. He made me call him champ for the whole Gen Con, which drove me crazy. He made me call him champ over the Skype over the next months, and terrible thing happened next year when he came again to this game and he won again, and now he forces me to call him champ every time we interact on Skype or other channels, and this is terrible. I played this game since 2012, so for the 7 years I never won. He came twice and he won twice, so you can the situation is terrible. The situation is terrible. I will never ever invite anybody to this game. I need to win myself first, so this is the plan.
Heath McFarlane asks, what sort of introduction did your kids have to games?
So with my kids, we had two different approaches. My son, Oleg, very young, like he was like really, really very little, and he played with Neuroshima Hex components, and he saw these robots and tanks, and it was very exciting. He had no clue about the rules, but he already played with the tokens, and he was growing up with games with me very early as well. He discovered the miniature games because, of course, the Little Soldiers. So like he was like 8 years old or something like that. We already played the Warhammer 40k, and he has his Space Marines, obviously, and he was shooting my orcs, and it was a great time. So he is like a full-blown gamer right now, and of course he's playing mostly video games, but he's also very deep into miniature game hobby, and he has all these armies for the different games, and of course he's playing role-playing games because he discovered Neuroshima role-playing game very early as well, and he's playing with his buddies, and on top of that, of course, he's playing board games with me and Keyforge and all the everything. So with my son, I taught him well, and he became a total geek. With my daughter, the situation was different. Very early, she played a ton of children games, so all these Hamba games, Dreimagie Spiele games, and so when she was 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, she played a ton of board games, and she loved it. And she also played as a very young kid Robinson Crusoe with me. Of course, I was managing the rules. She was just living the story and discovering it, and she loved it. But now she's done with board games. Sometimes she plays with us, mostly party games. So she loves to play the Crypto. She loves to play Just One. She loves to play that kind of games, illustrations. So we have some family time with our children playing party games. But for the other games, she's not interested anymore. She has this stage behind her. Children games, yes, but now she's not a geek. So I have one geek at home and one normal normal kid.
Jason Curry asks, outside of Robinson Crusoe, what are your favorite cooperative games?
So I don't play many cooperative games because my wife Mary hates cooperative games, so I don't have an environment at home to play such games. I do have in collection Aeon's End, which is amazing deck builder, and I played with my son. And that's pretty much it. I have a Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, all the cases, and I respect this game a lot. And this is I think the only cooperative game my wife played with me. And this is much pretty it. Like I don't have many other cooperative games. Back then, when I was designing Robinson Crusoe, I hated cooperative games. I didn't like them at all. And when I was designing Robinson Crusoe, I was stating that I will finally create a good cooperative game because all of them are bad. Of course, I was wrong. But then, of course, many great cooperative games were published, and I'm not so critical right now. But in my collection, not many in this genre. So let me vote for Aeon's End from Indie Balls and Cards.
Blanca Budai asks, I'm wondering if there's any chance to get printable faction boards for 51st State.
So the answer is super simple, as we will do a reprint of 51st State later this year or next year. We will also reprint the factions. They were available at our web store, but are sold out and are out of the print. So yes, in the future it will happen. No details whatsoever right now. We are living in a very difficult times right now, so I don't know if it will happen this year, later, or next year, but yes, at some point they will be back in our web store.
Neuroshima Hex Gamer asks, will you please rank the armies in Neuroshima Hex from your least to most favorite?
A ton of Neuroshima Hex fans here, I see. I'm not a very vivid player of Neuroshima Hex. I have the game in my collection. I have all the armies because my son is a huge fan. So each time a new army is released by Portal Games, I bring it home and we have a great time, father and son, playing these new armies. But then I'm not playing on a regular basis. Like I play only with my son when something new is being released. So I don't have the rank of all these many armies which I like most, which I don't like. For sure, I can say like many players who don't have a huge experience. I have a difficulty and I don't enjoy playing these weird, awkward factions like Mephisto, like Dancer, like Death Breath. Like I have a difficulty playing this game, these armies. No jungle. So all these armies that are known among the hardcore fans that are difficult. Yes, they are difficult, and gamers like myself have a difficulty playing them. And on the other spectrum, if the army is simple to play, like I mentioned earlier, New York, I really dig it and enjoy it. So Sharash and New York and Mississippi, these are the armies that I understand how to play. I understand the concept for this army, and therefore I enjoy playing them.
Jason Hartgrave asks, is there any chance you could reach out to Tom Jolly and collaborate on a Cave Troll 2 or an expansion?
This is a great question. I don't know personally Tom Jolly, so I would have to find a way to reach him and suggest such a venture. I do love to release a Cave Troll in this or new setting, and as I mentioned in the last video, I have this game in my collection. I have 3 different copies in 3 different editions of this game. I think it's so smart and so elegant, so simple. There is not too many rules. It is that simple, and yet it has all that era control games needed. Different scoring locations, different scoring areas, parts of the board, a few abilities of the characters, scoring in a different moments of the game. So you are waiting, preparing for this scoring. Everything that good area control game should have this Cave Troll, this old game has in it. So I guess I would love to work on a new edition and some retheming, but I don't know if it will happen.
Brandon Lane asks, when are you going to be in the US next, and if I brought my copy of Millennium Blades, will you play it with me?
That is a difficult question. Like this year I had some health issues and I had to cancel a couple of my flights to stay at home and take care of myself. And then COVID-19 happened, and we are all stuck at homes and no conventions whatsoever. So the first question is when there is a next convention in America. I guess it will happen next year. I guess I will be in America for the next Gen Con, or maybe the Dice Tower Con. So yes, sometimes I play with fans at conventions. It is quite difficult because when I go for the convention, especially in America, there is some effort, there is some time spent, there is some money invested. So I try to work as much as possible. And if you look at my schedule at, for example, Gen Cons, when we start early in the morning in the exhibitor hall, and we work till like midnight, because after the exhibitor hall is closed, we always schedule some events with fans, some seminars, some panels, some additional attractions for fans. So Gen Con is for me like 4 days from 8 a.m. till midnight every single day, and it is for my whole team: Chevy, Ben, Don, Jeff, and all the gang. So if we have a chance to meet at a convention in the future, I would love to play Millennium Blades, and it may happen. But when, nobody knows what will happen next with this whole situation.
Old Friends Never Leave asks, as a Polish game designer, can you please make a game based on a Joseph Conrad story? Maybe Lord Jim, Nostromo, or some other one.
Thank you for the question. This is quite the same situation like with the Slavic faction for Imperial Settlers. Although I live in Poland and also I'm a Polish designer, I try to think as wide and as general as possible. So that's why when I was designing Robinson Crusoe, I took a novel that is known worldwide and was so important for everybody in all different countries. So of course I could pick Joseph Conrad and try to create something interesting, but I prefer to pick Julius Verne and pick something everybody read. We have also many questions here in Poland if we will cooperate with one of the famous Polish crime novels writers to create new cases for detective. And my answer is always the same. If this writer is well known and super popular in Poland, it doesn't mean that anybody heard about him in Italy or in France or in America or in Japan. And we have to remember that Portal Games is a publisher that publishes worldwide for all these different markets. So we try to be as general and as open for all the cultures as possible. So not too close to a niche market. So I'm not sure if I will design such a game, but if I look at my shelf and the books that inspire me and the books that I love, Julius Verne is the designer, is a writer that inspires me the most.
Lamb Winkins asks, what are your top 5 board games?
I'm not going to answer this question because many years ago, this is insane, many years ago, I promised our fans to record top 100 of games, and I prepared that like the Tom Vassell way. I wrote all these titles and then I pick which one I prefer. And this is a list from many years ago. I was checking this list recently, and many of the games on this list no longer would made it to the 100 if I designed this list today, because since then so many new great games were published. So once again, maybe I will decide to publish such a list, or maybe updated a list in upcoming weeks in this very strange era of coronavirus. Stay home, and as I said, for the past few years, every single week we were recording content for you here on this YouTube channel, presenting you how we work, how we design games, how we develop games. And now for this past few weeks, when we are at homes, there is nothing to show you. We are just sitting in front of the computers and working, and this is quite boring to show in the vlog. So that's why we are looking for the new content for the vlog, for the videos. That's why I decided to record video presenting you some of the games in my collection. That is why we are doing today Ask Me Anything, to have interesting content for you. And maybe I should record a video and present this list with the games from the past that I picked as the best games of all time for Ignacy Trzewiczek.
Tim Tylinski asks, when will we get Board Games That Tell Stories 3?
And Ask Me Anything changes into the what are your publishing plans for upcoming months, and the answer is once again I don't know. The situation is very difficult. I was going to release a Kickstarter for Boardgames That Tell Stories 3 last year, and it didn't happen. I planned it to do this year, and once again I'm not sure what will happen. For all of you who don't know, once again, the context, many years ago, it was 2011 or 12, I started a blog called Boardgames That Tell Stories. I ran this blog both on Board Game Geek website, and I had a domain boardgamethatellstories.com that you can check out. And I was publishing articles, essays about board game design, and this blog became very popular and had a huge following back then. And in 2013, after almost 2 years of running this blog, I asked my readers if they're interested in having all these articles from this blog in a one piece as a one book. And I started a Kickstarter campaign, and of course you decided that yes, you want such a book, and the Kickstarter was very successful, and the book was released. And over the next years I was continuing writing essays and articles about game design, and then once again I did the Kickstarter for the second book with once again collection of the best of these articles, and once again on the Kickstarter, and once again very successful. Both of these books you can find on Amazon.com and on our website. And of course over the years I was still writing, and fans ask for the third part in the series. So I will not dodge this. Yes, we have to do it. I just need to find a good moment, a good time, and now it is not good time for anything. So it's coming. It's coming. I really want to have a third book on my shelf. I think I have it in the second room. So yes, Boardgames Tell Stories 3 will be published and will be done by the Kickstarter. And as for now, I strongly invite you to go and check it out, boardgametellstories.com, and you can read my recent articles.
Louis Kabibi asks, what are the 2 boxes next to Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective? I'm really interested in knowing what storytelling games you like since Robin Crusoe is so immersive.
So on the shelf I showed in last video, next to the Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective boxes, there was no other board game. There was only a huge epic edition of collection of all books and novels about Sherlock Holmes. Like it's like 800 pages, a huge book. But for the other storytelling games in my collection, I have not too many, because this genre is not that popular. So there's not that many games in this genre, and for the years I was mostly playing role-playing games to have this storytelling aspect in my life. So if I look through all these story-driven games on my shelves, we have Pandemic Legacy, which has some story. We have other legacy games, but Sherlock and Detective are quite unique, so there's not that many story-driven games.
James Wood asks, have you ever thought about combining your love of card games with cooperative design?
Well, this is a well-aimed question, because yes, of course, I love card games and I love designing cooperative games, and I love to do a storytelling game. So I guess at one point in my life, Portal Games will release a game that I will design or co-design or at least develop. And that will be storytelling, that will be cooperative, and that will be a card game. As for now, I'm a huge fan, and let me just grab it. This is a suitcase full of Arkham Horror stuff, and I have amazing boxes for the pieces. I have amazing tokens with glass or plastic shells, and I have more boxes with the secret stuff, and I have my pencil to make notes, and I am a huge fan of Arkham Horror living card game. So at some point from this love, for sure we will see some game inspired by this design. At what point, of course, I don't know. But yes, cooperative games, card game, it will happen from Ignacy Trzewiczek at Portal Games at some point. Too early to say when and what it will be. Also, I have some ideas. But yes, well aimed question. Yes, it will happen at some point.
Jan asks, what are your top 5 Grail games that you would love to add to your collection?
So for the Grail games is a difficult topic, because most of the games I want to own, I own. Like I don't take prisoners. Like I get these games either by networking, either by buying on eBay, either on buying on second-hand stores in Essen. Just a few months ago, I used Board Game Geek market to nail down a game that was out of stock. Tiefe Taschen, a small card game printed in a very small print run for Essen, and I found a user in I think it was Hungary or some country in Europe, and I contacted him and I get this game. So there is no Grail game that I was not able to get. But to answer this question, let me just mention the games that I own or I could easily own just by buying them. but they are my Grail games because I don't know how to play them. I have them at home. I haven't read the rulebook. It's too long for me. It's too confusing. Or I don't have a player because Mary, for example, doesn't want to play them. And such titles, there is a long list of such titles, and most of them are from GMT. I'm a huge fan of this company, of the work they do, releasing amazing war games. I have a huge collection of these games, and to be honest, most of them I have never played. I just own them, and I wish I will be able to play them at some point. And I own, for example, Cuba Libre. As far as I heard, amazing game. I tried to play it. It was too complex, and I was confused, and I was not able. Dominant Species on my list to play, and all other great GMT titles. So my Grail games are these big epic war games that I do love to play, but either I don't have a partner for that, either I'm too stupid to understand the rules.
Chris Patterson asks, how good are you personally at breaking down information when reading through a game's rulebook, and what's your approach to it? Do you think Portal Games gets a hard time about rulebooks and their structure?
Rulebooks. Once again, this is a topic I could talk a long time about. I personally hate rulebooks. I struggle reading them. I'm not very good understanding them. Lately, I'm a little bit better. Lately, I learned how to perceive this information, how to find information in the rulebook, but basically it is always a terrible moment for me when we have this new amazing game that we want to play with my wife or my friends, and then there's this rulebook, this obstacle in front of us. My approach for the rulebooks is read it, or at least browse it, then try to find something on YouTube to watch how the game is played, then try to read it once again, then play the game, play with the mistakes, play it wrong, I don't care, and then read the rulebook after I play it. So very often we play our first game, when we play with Mero here at home, we play like so many rules wrong, but I don't care. We just, okay, let's move on, don't waste time to browse through the rulebook. After the game is finished, I take my time, I make a tea, and I read the whole rulebook, but then knowing how the game flows, understanding the components, it's so much easier then to understand the final rules of the game. So it's a struggle. I'm terrible at that. And the fact that at Portal Games, for a long time we had a reputation of having terrible rulebooks, that is, of course, because of me. Now, since we hired Joanna Kijanka, our rulebooks have a much better reputation, and we have much better feedback, and rulebooks for Pret-a-Porter, for example, have a very good support from you. So I hope as a company we will be better and better, and for me there is no hope. Like, I hate it, and I will never love it, and I will be always terrible in that. Rulebooks, my enemy.
Tropical Penguin asks, why did you not design a cow-themed game yet?
And once again, we have an inside joke, inside question, and me and the cows. So for all of you who never heard about this, for years, if you find me at the convention, if you want to have my game's signature on my game, if you want me signed your copy of the game, in most cases I draw a little picture of a cow, and it started back then when I was in the college. So that's why the question is about the cow-themed game. I had some stupid ideas for the game about the cows back then when I was doing the party games mostly. But now, of course, it's an old story. So no, I try to create epic games, the epic theme, and Robinson Crusoe, the first Martians, such a big, vivid, amazing themes. That is something that I'm interested in. So most likely there is no stupid cow game from me in the future, but never say never, right? Maybe.
The Trivian Gamer asks, could you also do an overview of the football games you have? Question for the folks wanting to join the Robinson Crusoe scenario contest. What are the steps you usually take in designing such a scenario?
For the football games, I cannot help because I have these games in the office, so I cannot show them here in the home edition video. That is true that there is a general knowledge, the general statement that there is not many good football games. And to be honest, I disagree. I mean, there is of course a ton of crap that has a footballer on the cover and no interesting rules whatsoever. But there is also a couple of interesting football games out there. An old two-player game Finale from Cosmos, mentioned earlier World Cup, out of print, both of them. Yeah, I would have to go to the office to show you a couple of football games I own. The most important thing, we have a prototype on the football game in the office, and we will publish it next year, so stay tuned. This is a very niche theme to have somebody who loves board games and loves football. Not that many geeks who love football, so there's not many games released, but there were some good games about football as well, but I can't show them here because I have them in the office. How I start designing a scenario for Robinson Crusoe? Very simple, of course. With the story, huge library of the books of Julius Verne. All these adventure books from 19th century are perfect inspiration for the story. And then slowly building how we use rules of Robinson Crusoe to tell this story. And Robinson Crusoe is quite smart design, because you have these few elements that each scenario has that you can use. So you have weather that you can add or remove from the scenario. You have the special rule for the book icon, so if you draw an event, something additionally happen that is dedicated to this scenario. You have these little totems, so each time you explore, something dedicated to scenario will happen. So there is plenty of things that you can use to add this additional theming to the scenario and use. So you knowing that each round when they draw a card, something may happen. Each round they explore, something may happen. For the building, each time they build, they can build special items for the scenario, also used many times in the scenario. So there are these nice little elements, these things that I created back then, that now you can use to create new stories. And that's why I'm mind blown when I see how you fans use these things to tell completely different stories. First story, then look at these few elements: totems, books, inventions, special inventions, special actions, and slowly try to adapt this story to the mechanism of the Robinson Crusoe.
Nick R. asks, when building a narrative storytelling into a board game, do you try to create emotional responses with fear and tension in the game to build up a greater relaxation reward when the game is finished successfully?
So that is a very interesting question, and I could once again go for a longer round about this, because of course when designing storytelling games we want to build such a narration arc and emotional ride, like in the movies or like in the books. And when you play detective, you see how the story grows, and you go to this conclusion and to the grand final. And we try to build as storytellers do. And the same with the Robinson Crusoe, when each consequent runs builds up with the new tension, the changes of the rules, weather added, the more dramatic moments. So we try to tell stories like they are told over the years in books and in the literature and in the movies. But the thing that is so much different than with literature and movies is that the end of the game, you win or you lose, and it changes a lot how you will perceive the experience, how you will remember this experience, and we saw it in a playtesting many times. The problem with detective, the fact that you play detective, you enjoy the time for 2 hours. You are interacting with your friends, discussing, debating. You are deducting. You have a great time. And then because it is a game, at the end the game will ask you the questions to tell you if you won or lose. You give the wrong answers, you lose, and suddenly the whole experience is ruined. You feel bad, you feel like you are stupid, and the whole 2 hours of you having amazing time are just killed by you lost, and you're that's sad. And such things doesn't happen in movies, doesn't happen in literature. You finish the book, and that was awesome. Here you are finished the game, and we tell you, are you smart or not? So it's difficult. And the same with the Robinson Crusoe. Once again, you have a great time trying to survive, building inventions, going for exploration, hunting beasts. Everything is amazing. And then this one stupid roll, you are dead, and you're that's sad. That was stupid. And the whole experience is not that awesome as it could be if you win the game. So we as game designers, we know, or we think we know, how to tell stories. We use the same tricks and mechanism as writers and directors, but we have this additional challenging moment. At the end of the whole experience, the game will ask you, will check if you are smart or not, we'll ask you questions, or we'll ask you to this final roll, this final test. And if you fail, the whole experience is so much worse for you in your head, and this is difficult for us.
Bahasha asks, why don't we see more of your wife?
Sometimes you see her. She's going with me for most of the conventions, so you can meet her at conventions. Sometimes she appears in a Portal Games vlog because she is working at Portal Games. So when we show you our offices, she's waving to you and sometimes saying something. But of course, this is a company vlog. This is a company channel. So we need to provide you information and content that is sort of professional, and showing a wife of the CEO maybe is not very professional for some of our fans. So we are very open. I think Portal Games has a very human face to fans and to gamers. I'm very open, very happy to discuss with you on social media. I'm very active on Twitter, very active on Instagram, here on YouTube in the comments. Here I am recording a super long video answering your questions. So this is how I wanted to create this company, to have this human face, and so you understand that these games are created and designed by this crazy dude from Poland. But of course, we should not go too much, in my opinion, with our human face. So we will not put on this channel wife, kids, and dogs, cats, and other things from Ignacy Trzewiczek. But of course, sometimes, like in these very special times, sometimes my wife will be here and wave to you. She's amazing. She's a gamer. She's a vivid gamer. She plays a ton of games. She knows a ton about games. She records with me podcasts here in Poland. So here in Poland, I have a podcast that is a weekly podcast, and we talk about board gaming and games with my wife. So she's absolutely amazing. But let's try to keep this channel a little bit professional, and just with the content about the products.
Miha asks, any update on your game with Eric Lang? Any news on Voyage of the Beagle expansion coming back?
So my game with Eric Lang that was teased, I think it was 2017. We were working on a game back then for a long time, and then I got sucked by Detective. Eric was sucked by Simon Games, and the whole project is in a freezer. We were not working in the past months with this game, so maybe one day we will go back to this project, or maybe it will remain in the drawer, in the freezer, and we'll never see a light. We will see. It was a great time working with Eric. It was a great time brainstorming and building these prototypes, and there were so many different versions of this game. And I learned a lot just from this process, just from the design process. But well, we never managed to finish this game, and then I got sucked, and I had to write new cases for Detective and new standalone versions of the game. So I was so busy with Detective and Eric with developing games at Simon, and now we don't see each other too much since he got hired by Simon. He has so less time, and he's so busy that it is very difficult to meet and have some brainstorming, etc. So I'm not sure if it will be ever finished or published. As for the Voyage of the Beagle, as I said, the plan was to release it the next year. We will see if it will happen. At this point, it's too early to say. We hope to release a new edition next year, but we will see. So this is it. That was Ask Me Anything video. Thank you all of you who posted questions below to give me ideas for the content for you. Thank you, Chevy Dot, who was reading all these questions. It was fun. And well, see you in the upcoming days, weeks. We will see. If you have any ideas for the content in this very special time, what I can show you, what I can discuss, what I can share with you, let me know, because we definitely don't want to shut down the channel. We definitely don't want to stop producing content for you. But the formula we had in the past few years is no longer valid. The formula we were doing for the past 3 years was a company vlog. Marek was in the office with the camera, showing you me working, developers working, doing interviews with the employees, and now we are all sitting at homes, and all I could show you right now is me being on a Skype over and over again. So let me know how we can adjust this channel to the situation, how we can create the content that would be interesting for you, what you want to see in upcoming weeks here on the YouTube, because apparently for the upcoming few weeks or months we are going to stay here at home, and yeah, give me your ideas. Stay well, stay home, flatten the curve. Let's keep the fingers crossed that we will survive all together this very difficult time. And once again, thank you for all the questions. Thank you for viewing. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for thumbs up. Thank you for subscribes. All the clicks, all the loves that you share with us is much appreciated. Once again, thank you, Chevy Dot, for reading all these 30 or more questions. Take care. Bye bye.